The plot is thickening for two high-profile Democratic members of Congress accused of ethics violations. Let's start first with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a Democrat who's accused of trying to get a federal bailout for a bank in which her husband held a financial interest. She says she did nothing wrong and that she's actually being denied due process because of this. Her hearing before the House Ethics Committee, supposed to start on Monday, got canceled because some email communications were found that could affect the case. We don't know how. Waters won't say. She says the committee is just making excuses. But today in a press release, Waters says the real reason for the delay is that on the same day her hearing was canceled, two attorneys who were building the case against her were put on administrative leave, and she wants to know exactly why they did. No explanation has been given. Joe, what about this thing where these two lead investigators, or one of the lead investigators who's been investigating Maxine Waters, suddenly has been let go, and a lawyer too? What's going on?
Yeah, well, the other thing that's out there is that when they did all this other stuff last week, they also sent all of this information about Maxine Waters back to be investigated more, and now we find out that, oh, they were getting rid of the top person who was investigating. So it's a real problem. It's chaos, and they're running out of time here in this Congress to try to handle this thing. It's looking like Maxine Waters could either find herself over in the next Congress, which would be sort of almost unprecedented handling this, or they're going to think about reducing the charges or getting rid of her. It's basically a real mess.
Dana, does that mean that the case against her maybe isn't that strong?
Well, it seems that way. Nobody has really come up with evidence so far to say it's involving her husband having shares in a bank that was held by her, but nobody has been able to demonstrate so far that she was in particular helping that bank as opposed to all of these minority-owned banks. So we don't know exactly the reasons of what's going on here, but it can't possibly be a coincidence that these two lawyers were suspended on the exact same day they punted on the trial date. So clearly this looks like Maxine Waters is going to get off here.
And you would think there would be a certain level of transparency on the Ethics Committee. But, Joe, this is a committee which is notoriously secretive. And Congresswoman Waters wrote in her statement tonight, she said, quote, "We don't know the specifics, but we know that the integrity of the committee and its investigative process have been compromised. The longer the committee withholds the details of its actions, the more the public's confidence in the House ethics process is eroded." I mean, she's got a point here that, this very committee, which is supposed to be, helping transparency, is kind of firing people and not saying anything about it.
No question. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize that this isn't a legal process. It's a political process. Up on Capitol Hill, it's a committee with evenly divided Democrats and Republicans. But can you imagine in a court of law if the prosecutor basically got completely taken off of the case and suddenly the defense lawyer walked in and there was somebody new? It's like bells and whistles would go off. But in this process, it's completely secret, and they don't have to say anything to Maxine Waters. They don't have to say anything to us.
And Dana, you've said that the thing that's actually most kind of the greatest scandal of the Ethics Committee is just how much they tolerate.
No, exactly. I mean, the whole notion of congressional ethics has become an oxymoron. So few cases are brought. I mean, we had a case of 7 people on the Appropriations Committee. Defense contractors said they thought they were giving these guys campaign contributions in exchange for earmarks, but the Ethics Committee said, oh, nothing to see here, just move along. Finally, they do bring a case like this one against Waters. It blows up on them.